Hey guys, welcome back to today. So today we're going to be covering full box Sumbrada, or 10 count Sumbrada, or some people call it 5 count Sumbrada, whatever. All right, this is going to be one of the more common, longer Sumbrada drills, right? So in my opinion, there's 5 techniques, but it's a block and a strike is one technique, right? So it could be 10 techniques if you count one block and one strike as 2, right? All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started. We're gonna do each one of these for about 45 seconds and hopefully not go too far over time. All right, so the first one is actually gonna be one that we've done in the past, right? And I showed it to you on accident last time, but this is where it actually pops in at. So it's going to be a point up deflection, inside point up deflection, followed by this horizontal line, or sometimes we'll aim it a little bit lower and go down towards the knee, but for now we're just gonna go for this horizontal line, okay? So 45 seconds on one side, ready, and begin. Block, strike. You can move back and then forward, right? You can sidestep and move forward. You can stay in the same place, check and strike. However you need to do this, point up deflection, make sure that tip is a little bit over that head or right up to the head, right? Ideally we're blocking this part and then we're gonna strike here. Block and strike. Now if I can, I actually want to point my blade edge backwards so that I'm blocking with the flat edge of the blade as I'm doing this, so I don't destroy my blade if I'm blocking. But in my opinion, if you block blade on blade and you don't die and you end up getting them, well, who cares what your blade looks like afterwards, all right? Block and strike. We can support our block and strike. We can check if we're in close, right? We might not be. Time. Same thing, other side. Ready? Begin. Inside deflection, horizontal strike. Inside deflection, horizontal strike. Block and strike. Block and strike. Block and strike. Block and strike. Again, notice you can move around as you do these. Sometimes you have to move to take away the power. Sometimes you have to move to be in a good blocking position so your block actually works and they don't break through, because it sucks when they break through. Trust me, it does. Never done it with a sword, but with a stick I have, and it sucks. Block, strike. You can support here. Some people will do that. Some people will support on the wrist, however you need to. Some people just strike it and strike it. That can work too, but if your timing's off, bam, you get cracked. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do, all right? So from here, we're gonna go with this inside wing, right? So this is a low wing or a low point down deflection. Most people just call this a low wing, right? All right, so we're gonna go here, low wing, and then we're gonna go with this backhand vertical strike, all right? 45 seconds, begin. Now on this one, I do want you to sidestep a little bit and backhand vertical strike. Here, 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 here. Strike, strike. Step offline, move out of the way. Now this is blocking a straight thrust, right? So that's why we have to move off that line as we're going for this, right? It's almost like a redondo. The one thing that kind of gets me about Sumbrada drills though is that you're striking and then you're stopping here for the block. You're not actually following through like you would if you're actually striking somebody, but it helps facilitate the drill. The idea is to learn how to block and counter back quickly. It's not actual sparring. Granted, you can make this more fun and turn it so it's almost actual sparring. Here, this would be the check, as the hand would come underneath this and you'd be grabbing their own as you strike down. All right, switch hands. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side and begin. Sidestep. If you want to add that check to grab the hand, you can, and then strike down. Sidestep, strike. So we're here, point goes down, move it off to the side. We're knocking that blade out of the way and striking. Move off the side and strike. It's starting to rain. Let's see if we can finish this before it starts pouring or hailing. It's been hailing a bunch here lately. Block and strike. Block and strike. All right. Block, you can grab, right? If it's a stick, grab their stick, strike their hand. If it's a blade, grab their hand and strike, or be far enough out where you can't actually grab their hand and be in that range 3, right? Or range 2, and time. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're gonna go up. All right, so this is going to be our roof block and strike around. We've learned this one as well. You'll start to see that a lot of these kind of just merge together to make patterns. All right, so roof block, strike around, horizontal strike. Again, this could be an angle 1 where we're chopping down more, but for now we're going to go more of this horizontal angle. Ready? And begin. So roof block up and strike around. Roof block up and strike around. So the check for the roof block is here, underneath the block, and strike. Or if you're at that range 2, out here. If you're at range 3, you can grab it. Strike. Move back and strike. Step in or to the outside and strike. Here, here. Strike, strike. Here and swing it around. Roof block up and around. Don't go too far off to the side when you're doing this. This should be just outside of your shoulder line and bring it around. So it's angled forward. It's not completely sideways like this. All right, so I don't want this. I want this. Up and strike. And now we're gonna do the same thing on our other side. And begin. So up, roof, bring it around. Roof, bring it around. Strike. Up and strike. Here, here. Bring it up, blocking that strike down, bring it around. Again, we can move back, we can crash in, we can sidestep off as we go for this. We have a bunch of different options. Do what works best for you and do whatever you're not gonna get hit, right? That's a little bit more important than just about anything else, is don't get hit. I'd rather you move back really big and not be able to reach them on your counter and not get hit than stay in a close range where you could counter them back, but you got hit. And one more. All right, time. All right, so let's build this up. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. From here, we're going to pull it back, right? So we did this one, and we're gonna end up doing a thrust now. All right, so just like when they went here, I lied. We're gonna block and then do the thrust. So we're doing the thrust, but we have to have a block first, right? We have our counters. All right, so we're going to go, there's 2 different blocks that's pretty common from here. We have a drop stick block. I'm not a big fan of it, so we're not really gonna do that one. And then we have, I don't know what I'd call this, a windshield wiper block, a down block, a low block, whatever. I don't care, we're gonna block here. But since this is going towards the belly line because it's blocking this strike that we fed earlier, we want it to be a little bit higher up, right? So I like to pull in and then thrust, right? It's gonna be a straight thrust, right? It's not gonna be our arcing thrust. So keep that in mind as well. 45 seconds and begin. Block, thrust, block, thrust. You're gonna step back and thrust, especially if that's going for that leg. Block, thrust. Here, and straight thrust. Ooh, it's starting to rain a little bit more now. I got one more after this. Let's see if we can finish it, or am I just gonna get soaked while practicing this? We'll see. Here, block, strike. Block, strike. Thrust. Block and thrust. Here. Block and thrust. Thrust. 1, 2. That strike's coming here. Block it, thrust it. Block it, thrust it. Again, we could drop stick and thrust here, or we can circle around. And other side, begin. Around and thrust. Block around and thrust. Drop stick and thrust. Some people like the drop stick. I'm not a fan of it. I find that when people are really trying to hit me, they hit me when I try to do a block stick. But I have trained with somebody where I tried to hit them with, and they did a drop stick, and I just wasn't able to. Maybe it's because they knew it was coming. I don't know. Maybe they just practiced it a lot more than I did. Also possible. Block, thrust. Block, thrust. Block, thrust. Hitting that block, sucking it back in, and thrusting. Hitting that block, sucking it back in, and thrusting. Block and thrust. Keep it going. And time. All right, so we've got one more, and we've done this one before, so we know it. It's gonna be our punch up, and then our forehand downward block, or downward strike, excuse me. Begin. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2. 1, 2. Punch up block, strike down. Punch up block, strike down. Now you're gonna wanna do this backhand vertical. Don't do it. Do a forehand vertical. Backhand vertical is fine in sparring. It's not so great when we're doing this drill. Ooh, it's gonna start raining pretty hard now. Let's finish this up. Keep this going. Block and strike. Block and strike. Block up, strike down. Block up, strike down. Sometimes when I do this, I turn my body back. Boom. Maybe I want to run away as I do that strike. That's fine. All right. Whoop. I can do that. Nothing says we have to stay still. Switch hands. Begin. Up and down. Up. Forehand vertical. Forehand vertical. Punch up. Forehand vertical. Punch up. Forehand vertical. Keep this going. 1, 2. Stay in range, right? Range in, range out. Move your feet if you want to. Right? Sometimes I'll just move my front foot and I'll keep my back foot kind of planted as I do this. Ooh, I'm starting to do that backhand vertical, right? Don't do that. My left hand's a little stupid. Listen to what the right hand said, not what the left hand said. And strike. Punch up and strike. Oh, cool, it's not even raining that hard now. It's stopping. Keep this going. Strike up and down. Punch up, strike down. Punch up and time. Cool. All right, so last 45 seconds on each side. Hopefully not running over time too much. We're gonna put the whole thing together. Ready? Do this along with me and begin. Inside deflection, horizontal strike, low wing, backhand vertical, roof block, forehand horizontal, low block, thrust, punch up, forehand vertical, inside point up, horizontal strike, low wing, backhand vertical, roof block, around, forehand horizontal, punch up, low block, thrust, punch up, forehand vertical, point up, inside, flat strike, time, other side, begin, point up deflection, horizontal strike, low wing, backhand vertical, roof block, forehand horizontal, low block, thrust, punch up, forehand vertical, inside point up, horizontal, and then we have, what's next? We hit our low wing. My left hand really doesn't like doing things. Backhand, roof block, flat strike, low block, thrust, punch up, inside, backhand, low wing, backhand vertical, roof block, flat strike. I know time's up, but we're keep finishing this drill. Low block, thrust, punch up, forehand vertical. All right, guys, so that is the full box Sumbrada. It's cool because if you're working this with a partner, you notice that it kind of cycles through. One person would start in the middle of that drill and the other person would start at the beginning of the drill, and then you're able to flow. When one person strikes, one person blocks, one person blocks, the other person strikes, and we just keep it going. It's a fun pattern to be able to see strikes coming. In some of my sparring sessions, I've actually used parts of it, right? I'd use 1, 2, 1, 2, or 1, 2. Right? You don't use the entire thing, but these will help you start to see the angles that strikes can come at, be able to block it, and then counter back quickly. If you like this, like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and then send me a video of you guys doing Sumbrada. If you already knew Sumbrada, then I don't really care about you sending me a video, but if you just learned it from this video, send me a video of you and your training partner doing Sumbrada together. Other than that, have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.